Hello, everyone. Welcome to Spill the Tea with Tommy D. I'm Tommy D. I'm starting this podcast web series thing where I'm gonna talk to you guys about some tea. If you're not familiar with me, I'm a stand-up comedian when we're not in quarantine, and I'm also just really big into loose leaf tea. Loose leaf tea, like the kind of tea that you would see that's not in a tea bag. That's what I mean by loose leaf. So I'm gonna brew some tea for you. I'm going to teach you how to do it, and then I'm going to keep this going. So we're actually going to start with a Earl Grey. So Earl Grey tea is traditionally a black tea, and it is infused with bergamot oil, which bergamot is it's kind of like a cross between an orange and a lemon. So it's kind of a citrusy, fruity kind of flavor. Not so much fruity, a little bit more on the citrusy, kind of bitter. And then the tea that I am using is actually a Turkish black tea, Turkish Earl Grey. So the tea itself, the black tea leaves are from Turkey, and then obviously, like I said, it's infused with the bergamot oil. When I say traditionally it's a black tea, it's because like any tea that has bergamot oil is considered an Earl Grey. I've seen it done with like white tea leaves and stuff like that. But we're gonna get into that probably in another episode. We have different types of teas that I'm gonna explore with you guys. So we're going to start by just brewing the tea. So this is the tea leaves while it's dry, if you can see that. I'm also going to use my little strainer and coffee mug here, tea or coffee mug. So you can see the difference in the tea leaves there as opposed to like a tea bag, because tea bags definitely... this one, so... Usually when you see a loose leaf tea, you'll see it kind of more the full leaves, like kind of twisted. Sometimes they're twisted, sometimes they're balled up. This one is a little bit more chopped up. That's the style that the Turkish tea comes in. Like I could do a Turkish tea another time, but that's like a whole different brewing process that I don't really have the tools for. But we're going to start by just brewing this Turkish Earl Grey. So you noticed I used a teaspoon. So pretty much for a pure black tea, you're going to do about 1 teaspoon per 8 ounces of water. This is a 12-ounce mug, so I did 1.5 teaspoons of the Earl Grey tea, the loose leaf tea, and then I'm going to pour it. I put it in the cup just so I could show you guys, but I'm going to pour it into my strainer. Now, a lot of people, when they think of loose leaf tea, they're like, oh, well, what about that tea-ball thing that everyone uses? Tea-balls work. Tea-balls are good. The only time I don't like a tea-ball is when we do oolong teas eventually, you'll see an oolong tea it's a big tea leaf and it's balled up, so like it doesn't really give it enough space to do a really nice infusion. So I prefer like a big strainer, but again, we're going to probably end up doing an episode more on straight brewing techniques and all those different things going down. So we're going to brew the tea. So we got our 1.5 teaspoons. Black tea typically steeps for 3 minutes, so I got my 3-minute timer here. And then I have different teas will require different water temperatures. So this is actually, black tea does like boiling 205 or 195 depending on the tea. But some black teas actually will be as low as like 175. So we're going to, I got my hot water right here. So I'm just going to pour that in. Nice and close to the top there. And I'm going to set my timer for 3 minutes. And now you're probably like, well, Tom, what do we do now for 3 minutes? Well, I'm just going to kind of talk. I don't know. I don't really know how this works. To be honest, this is my first episode, so be kind to me. But I can tell you this. Having to go to the grocery store and stuff like that. You know, we're in quarantine. I get why, like, certain things are essential, but I feel like we're not using the word essential properly. Because, like, food, yes, essential. Obviously, hospital workers are essential. But booze is not essential. Don't get me wrong. I'm like, glad that we can go buy alcohol, but why? That's more of a preference. You know what I mean? Like, with essential, like, the government was basically like, well, you know, you got to stay safe. Don't go to the park. Don't go to the gym, but just stay home and get smashed. Like, I don't understand. You know, you don't survive. You can survive without alcohol. I feel like essential is things for survival. Like Like, I feel like the pot smokers are probably really mad right now because they're like fighting just to be able to smoke a joint without going to jail. But from what it seems like, if the government was to give out survival kits, there'd be like a bottle of Jack Daniels in there. I guess that's what I mean by like essential. I don't know. I feel like when I think essential workers, I think like if there's essential, then there's like preferable, and then there's like completely useless. So like alcohol and coffee, that kind of goes in the preferable category, not really the essential category. You know, food, water, shelter, healthcare workers, and police, like those are essential. Like with essential, I think if it was like a zombie apocalypse, and like you had your compound, like if you're thinking Walking Dead style, you got your compound. The essential people are the ones that always stay in the compound. Like if they're like, well, there's medical supplies in that building over there, and we got Dave. Dave's a doctor, you know. Karen's a nurse, and then you're like, well, we want to keep them here. We got to keep them safe. And then they're just like, what about Tom? Well, Tom, he knows the difference between a black tea and an oolong, so send him out there. Because, like, I'm expendable, is what I'm saying. Like, essential means you're not expendable. You need, so I don't know. I don't think that alcohol is there. Alcohol is not essential. I'm sorry. It's just not. So, now that I'm not out there, since I'm not out there, you know, I'm not technically an essential worker. I feel like I would be the one having to run through the horde of zombies to get the supplies. That's my job. Because I can run a 5K. That's pretty much it. I don't even know if I could do that anymore. Okay, our tea's ready. Alright, so we take the tea out. The cool thing about loose leaf tea as opposed to like a tea bag tea, if you have ever tried to re-steep a bag of tea bag tea, it tastes like garbage. Like, take your Lipton, which for the record, Lipton, I like a lot of different teas. I consider, like, an English breakfast is kind of like a Bud Light of tea. Like, it's a go-to. There's a ton of people who love it, but, like, Lipton is kind of like the natty ice of tea. Like, you don't, just don't do that. Don't do that. Do I sound pretentious? Because I kind of am. Alright, so we have our nice cup of tea. Now, I don't have a clear mug right now because, you know, quarantine life and stuff. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you what it looks like in this little clear mug. I'm going to make a mess. Should have thought this through. I made a mess. So you can see after it's brewed, you can see it's kind of like a palish reddish color. Now actually the Chinese, all tea actually comes from China, believe it or not. It's called Camellia sinensis is the plant. And if you're like, oh, it comes from China, maybe it's got coronavirus. No, you're an idiot and you're racist. So Chinese actually refer to black tea typically as red tea because of like the palish reddish color that the brew yields. So then after you brew your tea, you can actually take a look at the wet tea leaves there too. They look a little different after they've been brewed. So you want to smell the tea first. And you sip, swirl it in your mouth. They call it aerating. Seems silly, but it really does get the flavor kind of all in there. See? So you can definitely taste, obviously it's Earl Grey, so it's very bergamot heavy. Definitely have the citrusy notes in there. And then the black tea is a little sweet too. The Turkish tea, if you have like a plain Turkish tea, it's very, very strong. They brew it very strong and then they kind of cut it with some water. But you can definitely taste the sweetness of the plain black tea there. And surprisingly, so when we talk about tea, it's same thing with like beer or anything else. So when we talk about body, So you can talk about the body. So for some, this is actually more of a light, not, I wouldn't call it a light body, but more of a medium body black tea, because you see how like clear it is. If you brew like a single source, like a Golden Monkey or a Puera black tea that we'll go into eventually, it's super, super dark. And when you swirl in your mouth, it really kind of takes over your mouth. So that would be considered more of a full body. So that's why I call this one more of a, I would say it's called a medium body, because it's fairly light. That's it. Oh, I kind of really spaced on that with the Lipton tea. I went on a tangent there. What I was saying was the cool thing about loose leaf tea is if you try and re-steep tea bag tea, it's terrible. So loose leaf tea, you can actually get multiple steeps out of. So I can use these leaves again and get another nice solid cup of tea out of it. And then some teas you can even go 3, 4, sometimes 5 times. Pretty good. Pretty good. I got this, so this brand is, I'm going to butcher this, Tamarkuk. I'm not Turkish, so give me a break. But you can see the brand here. I picked this up at my local Turkish shop right before the end of days in the before time. So I eventually will probably be ordering some new teas offline. But it's pretty good. I've been drinking it mixed with the Turkish tea. And I've been drinking it by itself because I do like a nice cup of Earl Grey. So that's it. That's Tommy D Spills the Tea. Spill the tea with Tommy D. I can keep working on this. This is my first episode. Thanks for tuning in for Tommy D Spills the Tea. I'm going to be doing an episode of this like once a week. And I'm going to brew some tea for you guys. And I'm going to talk some smack. And this is what I do when I can't get up on stage and do stand-up comedy. So, if you guys like it, if you don't, be nice. It's my first episode. I'm dumb when it comes to technology and stuff like that. So, I believe what I'm supposed to say is smash that like button and subscribe if you like it. And I'll see you next week. And we're going to talk about some tea. I think I'm going to do a flavored white tea next week from a really nice tea company, online tea company. I'm going to pump them. Pump them up. They're good. All right, thanks. Have a good one.